stand in the room. Feel where the weight is on your feet. And feel, do you have your feet straight forward as you stand? Are they a little bit apart when you stand? If you were going to stand for a long time, where would you put your feet? Would you have them straight forward? No, really. Where would you have your feet if you were going to stand for a long time? It's a good question to ask. And I'll suggest that maybe they wouldn't want to be straightforward. I would suggest that maybe they don't want to be straightforward, to stand for a long time. But again, that's for you to investigate. What happens when my feet are apart? What happens when my feet are... Which one gives you a bit more ground if you're going to stand for a long time? Which one gives you a little bit more base of support to move around? Okay, so wherever you've got them, could you take your right hand and place it somewhere on the floor? Just on the floor. And notice where you put it. Are your fingers pointing forward? Are they pointing out to the side? Is it near one foot? Is it more near the other foot? And up you go again. So this time, for those who really bent their hips a lot, by all means you need to bend your knee, but see if you can keep your pelvis a little bit higher for this lesson. So find another place. And come up. Find another place. Find another place. And feel free at any time to change where your feet are pointing. Or so where do you want your feet to be that you can find more possibilities of putting your hand to the floor? But you're not taking a step, Anna, sorry. They're still staying sort of in standing, but you can feel you can turn them out a little bit, or... So can you see behind? Can you touch behind you? So just really explore here. Where can I find places to put my right hand flat? Well, it doesn't have to be flat, but it'd be nice to have it flat on the ground. And how do I shift my weight? And where does my head move through space to do that? What does my other shoulder do? Can I do it and keep my breathing easy? So you've already got 2 points of support, and we're looking for a third point. Go for a walk. What's that done to your walking? Does anything change simply by finding a way to bring one hand to the floor? Okay, pause wherever you are. And this time, put your right hand on the floor again, anywhere you like. Feel, have you already changed where your feet are from the beginning? Huh? And begin to feel, this is a good one, I love this one, you're going to wash the floor. And if that's too slave-like for you, you're not allowed to get on your knees. So your hand's staying more in contact. Both feet are still staying on the ground. And how far around you can you wash the floor? How much of the floor can you find to wash? How much does your head swing through space to do this? How does your weight shift around your feet? Can you wash between your legs, behind? So you've always got the hand on the floor. It's really, so you're not keeping the hand above the floor. We really want that little point of support there. Would you do small circles? Do you like to do big sweeping circles? And come up again and have a walk again. What's that done to your walking? And pause wherever you are. So this time, again, you're going to go down with your right hand. This time, feel, how do you initiate it? Just the beginning of the movement. What do you do? Of taking your hand down toward the floor. What's the very first thing you do? Is it to do with your hips? Is it to do with your shoulders or your head? And could you maybe find a way that the very first thing that could happen is your neck could give up some of its work? That something in the back of your neck, something in those extensors at the back of your neck could just give up a little bit of their work. And see, does that make a difference to how you would bend down? This is sort of one of the things we've just been playing with. What happens if my head and neck are a little bit freer? So that when you're down there, is there a possibility that as you're cleaning the floor, if your head's hanging, that it's very free? And does that make a difference to the places you can find? Okay. And again, with this lesson, it does get tiring. So take as many rests as you like. So this time, next time you're down there, or if you're still down there, if you're doing this cleaning of the floor, so you've got your hand on the floor, so it's got a little bit of weight, a little bit of support for you, when would your right foot be ready to lift, lighten a little bit, to take a little step? So you're cleaning the floor, shifting your weight around, and you're finding, when is it? Is there a place where I can lighten the weight? And you can do it the other foot if it's easier, whichever one wants to lift, it doesn't really matter. But there's a place where all of a sudden I feel that with, and maybe it's just the beginning of lightening, that you're not ready to lift it, but you feel it's one of my feet is starting to get ready. And where would your head need to be? Over which foot would it need to be close to let you lighten the other foot? And do it in a way that your breathing's easy and your head's still free. Up you come, have a walk again. So rest in walking. This is your rest. It's nice when we can begin to get that stage that I love it. I had a long day and I go out for a walk around the lake, and it can actually rest me. So now could you try the same thing with your left hand to the floor? So just first of all finding, without thinking, where would my left hand go to the floor? If I didn't think, where would it go? Notice what you do with your neck when you go down. And how many different places could you put your hand down? So you're not sweeping the floor yet. You're just finding you go down onto the floor, you come up, you find another place to put your hand down. So you're really shifting your weight over your feet. So somehow your 2 feet are finding out how they can, and your hips and your pelvis, how they can stay above your base of support so your hand can go down to the floor, lift up away from the floor. And then you can begin to clean the floor. See, they don't need the cleaners this weekend. We could just get... Or maybe you're thinking there's this gorgeous sand there and you're drawing this beautiful calligraphy pattern, or... So you're being very creative about this shape that you're making. And then begin to transfer it, that you could begin to lift one foot as you're cleaning. And as you do it, do you have to stop cleaning the floor? It's absolutely fine if you do. It's simply noticing. Yeah? So where does your head have to go to lighten one foot? Can you feel that your head has to be, you've had to shift the base of your neck somewhere over your weight-bearing foot to allow the other one to get light. This relationship between the base of our neck, our pelvis, and our foot. Have a walk. What's that done to your walking? So again, Feldenkrais finds these very, if you like, simple ways to get us to shift our weight. To get us to, in novel situations, how do you lighten? It's all about weight shift. Okay, wherever you are, you're now going to clean the floor with 2 hands. So they haven't, but they're both on the same cloth, or they're both, if you're doing a beautiful artwork, they're attached to each other. Huh? And could you begin to walk a little bit as you're cleaning, or as you do it, creating your artwork? How are you going to find a way that one foot can free? Can your neck be soft? And you can be, so most of you are already getting, feel how you start sort of swiveling on your toes and or your heels, that you start to get this feeling that I can begin to pivot a little bit around as I'm weight bearing. Come up to standing, have a walk again. Sue's into it. She's not getting up. I know it's inspiring you all to go home and just, you know. So standing, and just see if something's recalibrated in your standing after doing those movements. Where are your feet pointing now? What's the distance they are apart? You're just, no, you're not. And you're going to put both hands now on the ground. Both feet, both hands, and find where is my little space. How close are my hands to my feet? Are my feet wider than my hands, or my hands wider than my feet? Do I have more weight on my hands or my feet? So if you were going to begin to walk in this position, how would you do it? Without holding your breath. What crawling would you do in this position? So what does this structure, this organisation ask of you? Do you do one limb at a time? Do you do two at a time? Is it easier to go backwards or sideways or turn around yourself? Do you need to let your head hang to be able to find this organisation? And come up to standing again. It's amazing to think. I can always remember when I first, it's like some people find this easy to do. And we'll talk next week about why some people find this easier to do than others as we do a little bit more. Okay, so go back onto your 4 points again. And this time, could you go back to what a baby first does? Can you remember? So it's both hands and then both feet. So could you progress? So both hands and both feet, not one hand and one foot. It's a bunny hop. Bunny hop. Both hands, both feet. And again, is there any sense? Does your head go up and down a little bit as you do this? Is it easier to hop with your hands or your feet? I used to say nothing. None of them are easy. Can your knees be soft? Can your elbows be soft? There's the kangaroo. And again, just go gently. What about if you were going to walk right hand, right foot, left hand, left foot? And you don't need to do them both together. You can do them a sequence if you like. What do you have to organise in your middle then? Where does your head go? Right hand, right foot, left hand, left foot. Because you've got to move that base of your neck to the side. And for some of us, we do that by swinging our heads For some of us, we don't need to move our head so much. We can just do the movement more through our upper back. And then what's the last one? Opposite hand, opposite foot. So again, you can do them one at a time, but just feel opposite hand, opposite foot. And do you need to go forward? Don't feel you need to always go forward. You can go sideways and go opposite hand, opposite foot, or go anywhere where you feel you can shift your weight to get a little bit of lightness. Maybe one hand crosses over the other one, or so this is bear walking, really, isn't it? Some children, this is how they crawl. I bet I wasn't one of them. But what does this afford us? This having to keep longer in our arms and legs. Okay, have a walk again. What's it done? What do you feel? So again, you can feel this isn't movements that you can pay very fine attention to. You've really got to be able to keep spreading your attention. Yeah, absolutely. Temperature often goes up. So as you're walking, what do you remember of this week? Rhetorical question. What do you remember? What just sort of comes to mind? And again, when you remember, is it a sensation you remember? Is it some idea that you remember that maybe is in a sensation? Is it some feeling? Maybe it's a feeling of, I can find that place where everything's a little bit calmer. Or where I'm in total confusion. And what about the movement? What do you remember of the movements? Because that's what you're doing. So have a really good weekend. Enjoy the break. And we'll see you again on Monday.